Last Man Down. John Wood is a former soldier who has left all civilization behind after a pandemic hit the world. Now he has found refuge in a forest hut, but one day Maria arrives, a young woman who escaped from a laboratory and apparently carries in her blood a potential cure for the disease. This Swedish action thriller movie reminded us of films from the 80s starring actors such as Arnold Schwarzenegger, Van Damme, among others, where they liked to show off the muscles of the main actor and the overrated action scenes. To be honest, this production has a somewhat weak story and leaves much to be desired, just as the production elements such as special effects, set designs among others, which are really average or even bad. The performances of almost the entire cast are also average, some even mediocre, and unfortunately spoil the film. For being a movie that is far from being good, with just too many bad production elements, we give it 1 star out of 5. Last Survivors. A father and son who have been living outside society for 20 years find a stranger who threatens to destroy the utopia they have built. This drama and thriller movie has an original story that keeps you interested at first, but as it progresses, it becomes somewhat dull and predictable. There are some parts that are somewhat exaggerated and hard to believe, especially the ending. The production elements, such as cinematography and set designs, are decent, as are the performances of the entire cast, but unfortunately, for us, this movie is far from being spectacular or even good, and it's worth watching if you have nothing better to do or watch. So we give it 2 stars out of 5. Nightmare Alley. In 1940s New York, conman Stanton Carlyle teams up with a seer and her husband, a mentalist, to rob a dangerous millionaire. The group receives the help of a mysterious psychiatrist who has her own plan. This crime, drama, and thriller movie, directed by Guillermo del Toro and based on the 1946 novel of the same name, has an original, entertaining, and interesting story that keeps you intrigued and hooked until the end. The production elements such as set designs, costumes, makeup, cinematography among others are all good and enhance the film. The performances of the entire cast are not only good but believable, that help the fluidity of the story and to appreciate the film even more. For being a production that meets your expectations and for being a good option to watch, if you haven't done so yet, we give it 3 stars out of 5. The King's Man. A group made of the most evil tyrants and criminal minds in history come together to unleash a war that will kill millions of people. A man will have to fight evil and time to stop them. This action-adventure movie that is the prequel to the 2 previous productions of this franchise has an original story in its own way that keeps you interested, entertained, and pleasantly intrigued until the very end. We found it interesting how they adapted the events and what happened before, during, and after the First World War to create a story that gives rise to this series of films, and you could say that they achieved a convincing and entertaining plot. Of course, there are parts that are exaggerated and difficult to believe, but they don't spoil the film or take away from the fluidity of the story. The production elements such as cinematography, costumes, set designs, special effects among others are all good, as are the performances of the entire cast that are convincing and credible. For being a production that really is fun and entertaining to watch, we give it 3 stars out of 5.